from WCIA 3 Plus. With Ethan Holesha and Tyler Hill, this is Midwest Mashup.
Welcome back into Midwest Mashup. I'm your host, Ethan Holesha. Taking the reins of host again this week. Just trying something new going forward. Me and Tyler are switching it up here. Okay, so sports-wise, though, obviously we're in the midst of the baseball season, so we're going to be talking Cardinals, Cubs, White Sox, but there are a lot of things to talk about this week, a lot of exciting things for a lot of our teams. And who's here to join me? It's Tyler Hill.
Good to be here. This is the rare non-football episode. We'll have no aspect of football unless it gets brought up organically. So that's really interesting. Obviously, we normally have a lot of football in the show, but baseball teams trending up. The Cubs, who we're going to start with, were playing really, really bad. Looks like they are in a way better spot, led by PCA, but got some injuries and some things that might be, keeping this momentum going. And so I'm excited to get into all of that today, cover the other two baseball teams, and get off and running.
100%, yeah. And the Cubs, a lot of ups and downs this year, but at the same time, PCA has really just come into his own at the plate. Unbelievable. Was NL Player of the Week this past week, batted .550, I believe. I mean, that is just unbelievable. Had a 600 on-base percentage, and he has just really been killing it.
Yeah, because the bats come around, man. He's still playing really good defense. I think even the turning point really seems to be, funnily enough, when he got in the fight with a fan in the stands.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
After that, he has been playing so much better. I think that might have been a cathartic thing for him where he was really struggling and was angry, and the media is coming after him. People are going, we just signed you to this, $100+ million contract. Did we make a mistake? And I'm sure that's very frustrating, right? Like, that is something that's really hard to go through as a player, as a person. And so he has that outburst, and I wonder if it was a reset for him to just be like, okay, we got to calm down. We got to just keep doing what we're doing, pound the stone, and really work hard. And it is paying off. I saw something, I forget the account that tweeted this, so this is not from me, shout out them. He had the best 18-game stretch of 5 million baseball players that they've ever tracked in terms of batting.
Yeah, that's insane.
When you factor in batting, fielding, stolen bases. I mean, he's truly the stereotypical 30-30 guy. Where you're hitting 30 home runs, you're getting 30 stolen bases. He's probably not the 5-tool 80 across the board because the power's not amazing, right? It's good, but it's not amazing, and there's maybe some other things that you can nitpick there. But you combine the speed, the hitting, and now it seems like he's being a better leader in the locker room as well, or in the clubhouse as well. And I think that's really big for this Cubs team.
And then it's funny that you mentioned that moment because obviously it seemed like the wheels were kind of falling off for the Cubs at that point. There was a lot of injuries. Standings-wise, they weren't doing too hot.
They were in the midst of a, 14-game losing streak?
Yeah, it was really, really bad. And obviously, the Cubs had those 2 winning streaks, 10-plus games earlier on in the season. But even after that moment, PCA had a couple of errors in center field, and it's like, hey, this guy's fielding has been really what you're writing home about with his bat being so lackluster. But you mentioned him not having the power. I mean, the guy has 5 home runs in his last 6 games. It's unbelievable what's happening right now.
Yeah, and I think he is leading the charge for the Cubs overall because as you look at these games that we're talking about, so these are the back to Rockies games, the Blue Jays games as well. I mean, when we're looking at runs, so they had 2 runs in the loss to the Rockies, but then 8 runs in a win, 16 runs in another win, even 6 runs in a loss, and then 9 runs in the game against the Mets the other day in their 9-6 win. This offense has bounced back in a big way, and you saw guys like Bregman saying, hey, I'm not playing well. Dansby the whole year has been a non-factor at the plate. He's been a massive negative from the hitting perspective. And these guys are looking better and better, led, of course, by PCA. And we talked about it. They need it because the pitching's not great. They have a lot of injuries. They have more injuries going down the pike because literally right as we started recording, about an hour before, it was just announced that Ben Brown has been put on the 15-day IL with a neck strain. So this is another pitcher that is not going to be able to go for the Cubs. I saw another thing, and this was just more of a rumor or report. It's not anything founded yet. They said that Justin Steele probably isn't going to be back this year, period.
Yeah.
Maybe some relief, maybe, if they get into a postseason run type of situation. It's it's not looking good. And so you're going to have to say, hey, listen, this might not even be fair to our lineup, but you guys are going to have to put up probably 6 runs a game if we're going to be a winning record playoff type of team.
No, and I think that's a good point. But, outside of PCA, it just seems like the last couple of games, some of the other guys are starting to come around.
Yes.
Obviously, Nico started off really hot. He was 3 for 6 the other day in the 16-2 win. It kind of seemed like everyone was successful from the plate there. Carson Kelly, a guy that doesn't really get it done from the plate a whole lot, 2 for 4. 6 RBIs, home run. And then Dansby, in the last week, there's 2 games where he, in the 9 hole as a guy, it's like, hey, this guy is really in the lineup because of his glove, not really for his hitting.
Yeah.
He's in that 9 spot. He has 2 home runs in the last week. So, like you said, I don't know how sustainable it is because you're going to have to put up 5, 6
So
runs
many.
a games. But in the last week, I mean, that's exactly what this team has been doing.
Yeah, and the other injury that we were going to hit on as well, Edward Cabrera was carted off the field. It was a nasty looking injury because it was hit to the second baseman. I think it was Nico at the time, and the first baseman had tried to go and cover it, and so boom, Cabrera's running out to get to first and has to do a full split off the bag.
Yeah, just not ideal.
Honestly, the replay, I'm not a doctor or anything, and I really do hate to speculate, but it looked like he popped his groin, and that's kind of where he was grabbing, is that groin area. And so it seems like he most likely is not going to be back for a long time.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They are hemorrhaging arms, dude, and I don't know. We've said it a couple weeks now. I don't know if it's a deadline we're going to try and buy thing to replace this, or if you just go, man, the injuries, this is just not our year. We're not going to unload our prospects to try and make a run in a year. Maybe we can't do it, and maybe wait till next year and say, hey, this is the year in 2027 that we'll actually go for it.
Well, it's funny because, going into this year, PCA gets the extension. You sign Bregman to a pretty big deal. So there's a lot of money that's already been put into this team. Obviously, you lose a guy like Kyle Tucker who got paid a lot of money. But at the same time, I was just talking to Troy, funny enough, about it this morning. It seems like the roster is built in such win-now mode because these guys are ready. You have Ian Happ, who's been there forever. Bregman, you're bringing in to be an impact player right now. He's in the kind of the prime later part of his career. PCA is coming into his own. Obviously, we're seeing that. But there's guys that are supposed to be performing right now, and it's just been so up and down this season. And I don't know do you just completely blow out your farm system to try and get a couple of arms now? I think that's a decision that, once the trade deadline approaches, it's definitely coming up here, but I think they're probably going to wait a few weeks to a month to see exactly where they're at.
Yeah, and I don't think you can do that, man. Just try to sell the farm right now, especially when you think about their roster, it's not a lot of young promising guys. It really is just PCA, and then it's a bunch of veterans. Dansby is on the back end of his career.
Yes.
Bregman in 2 years will probably be on what you would think is the back end of his career.
Correct.
Guys like that. Michael Bush even is another guy in that same boat. And so I don't think you can mortgage your future again in a year where I think you just go, hey, we couldn't control the injuries. We couldn't control Steele's rehab, maybe not going the way we thought it would, because he was really, going into the offseason, we thought he'd be back by now. And so I think you chalk it up to that. Say, hey, we're not going to panic. We're not going to freak out. 2027 will make a nice run for it.
It's almost like a Pacers-esque ordeal. And obviously the Cubs are playing better in the regular season than the Pacers were.
Right, nowhere near as bad.
Right, during the season. But it's just like, hey, man, at one point there was 8 guys out on the Pacers. There's 8 pitchers right now that are injured for the Cubs, and there's only so much that you can really do. Some of the pitchers like Colin Ray and Ben Brown have been stepping up lately, but like you mentioned, IL, 15-day IL with the neck strain, and now Cabrera is, I don't know how long he's going to be out for. I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, I was going to say I hadn't seen any report yet. Again, you would think it's at least a 15-day IL type thing at the best case scenario.
Yeah, but playing the Mets now, doubleheader today. First game started at 12:10, so they're in the middle of that right now. Don't see a whole lot of doubleheaders anymore, which is kind of cool. So
yeah, it is interesting. It's a really good day for it because it's not supposed to, at least around here, it's not supposed to be too hot.
Yeah.
But, man, did you ever do 2-a-days for sports? I know you didn't play the stereotypical 2-a-day sports.
Yeah,
but.
so for volleyball tournaments, we would, if it was like an area tournament or something early in the season, we would have 4 games in a day. So
yeah, and I remember, AAU was crazy for that basketball-wise, 7-on-7, same thing. We were playing. I remember one time we went down to Miami and we were playing down there. We played the group stage games, and then playoff games. We ended up playing 6 games
Holy smokes.
in a day in Miami during the summer.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did on a turf field too, or like part of it was
No,
turf,
that's
part of it
nuts.
was grass. It was crazy. I don't know how I did it, because if you
Yeah.
tried to get me to do that now, I think I would just pass out by game 3.
Oh, yeah. But when you're 17, 18 years old, or I don't know how old you were when you were playing.
It would have been 17, yeah.
Yeah, but so for nationals for volleyball, we went to St. Louis, and I think we had 5 games in one day, and it was tiring then, but like,
But you love it.
yeah,
Oh, it's
you're
so
with your
fun.
teammates, and it's good memories. But yeah, if you put me in there now, having to play 5 games,
Not good.
I don't know if I would come out of that alive.
Oh, dude, yeah, strained groin by game 2, and and we're both pretty. I think we stay pretty active, but that is
Yeah,
just
for
a
sure.
lot to do.
No,
We
it's-
also had 2-day practices my freshman year of high school for football. That
Oh man, yeah.
sucked. Florida also. I mean, it's a whole different ball game when it comes to the heat and the humidity. and
Yeah,
everything, but
dude, it's
it
a
was
swamp
brutal.
out there, like literally. It's
So bad.
horrible. But yeah, honestly, so for the Cubs right now, keep the bats going.
Yes.
Got to get the pitchers healthy somehow. I don't know what's going to happen going
Yeah.
forward, but
'Cause
it's
still,
just
despite all, it sounds like we're doom and glooming a lot. Despite all that, you're 41-37. You're 3rd place in the division, 7.5 games back of the Brewers, which is
Yeah.
not. It's not a small lead, but it's not like you're out and have no shot at the division. You're a game and a half back in the wild card. You can still make a decent run. It unfortunately doesn't look super likely.
Well,
with
it's funny
injuries.
too because this latest power rankings that just came out a couple days ago. You got the Sox at 8, Cardinals at 9, Cubs at 10. So it's like
They know
right.
about Midwest matchup.
Yeah, exactly. they did that preferably for our show, but I don't know. It's just like the Cubs are so weird because they are a good team on paper.
Yes.
We know what they're capable of. They've gone on multiple win streaks, but they've also had the big losing streaks. Just plagued with injuries. It just feels like everything has been stacked against them this year. That's pretty much what it boils down to.
Really hard to go through what they've gone through
Yeah.
and still get wins.
But, obviously for them, the season is still very alive. Our 2 other teams, though, obviously young, surprising. We'll get into that after the break. A couple exciting, young teams that are just continue to be on the rise this season. So we'll get to it right after this break. Back to Midwest Mashup. Talked Cubs, obviously a lot of ups and downs. Offense is on fire. Pitchers, though, got to stay healthy. But another team in the same division, St. Louis Cardinals, they're in an interesting spot right now, too, because it seems like they're kind of just playing 500 baseball this last stretch here. But the young guys continue to produce, and that's been the story of the season.
It's ridiculous. So we'll start with JJ Weatherholt because he is, at this point, the NL Rookie of the Year.
Stud.
Right? Absolute stud. In the first game of the games that we're talking about today, 3 for 4 with a walk. I mean, then in a couple games later, now this was a 14-6 loss to the Royals, so it didn't end up mattering too much. 3 for 4 with 2 walks
The
and a
guy,
run.
the plate discipline is insane.
Ridiculous. And then in the 12-10 win over the Royals, 3 for 5, 2 homers, showing a little bit of power, which that's probably his weakness at this point. Just in his young career, hasn't developed as much, hasn't gotten in the weight room as much. 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 3 runs. I mean, this guy is everything you wanted him to be this season and more. And he's not the only young guy that's producing at this point.
No, and he's not. And you have guys like Jordan Walker who continue to, be those just big pieces defensively. I was watching a game the other night where he just flat out robbed a home run.
Yep.
And that was in the 12-10 win over the Royals. But Blaze Jordan, I don't know how much knowledge or background knowledge you have on this guy. He was one of those guys that in the minors and even before that, just coming up, he was hitting like nukes, and it was like this.
Well, his name's Blaze Jordan.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, that name rocks. Gotta say that. But I don't know, he was this guy just hitting nukes, and everyone was kind of like, okay, this is kind of one of those kids that's just bigger than the rest of them at that age.
That's what
you know what I mean?
He looks like a Little League guy that you see on one of the teams in the Little League World Series where you're like, are you sure he's 12? Because they're just
Yeah.
so big and they only hit bombs.
What
but
is
they're
it,
not
bench
really-
warmers, where he's like, I am 12
Yeah,
or something?
He's
Yeah.
42.
Yeah.
And so that's what he looked like to me. I actually laughed when I pulled up his picture because I'm like, this is exactly who you would think would be on the Florida Southeast team that's playing the Little League World Series championship, hitting straight 400-foot homers. You're like, there's
Right.
no shot. This kid's on steroids.
No, yeah, 100%. And no, but he had a game even in the loss, 2 for 5 loss to the Royals, but he was 2 for 5 in the 14-6 loss to the Royals. But I mean, the story of the season's been, it's a young team. They're ahead of the curve. They're in second place in the NL Central in, the most competitive division in baseball, you'd say, probably?
I think so. I mean, every team at this point still has a realistic shot at sneaking their way into the playoffs. You got the Reds still in the wild card hunt.
Yep.
The Brewers are, I would say, the 4th or 5th best team in baseball, depending on how you. I think there's a pretty solid top 3 when it comes to the Dodgers, the Braves, and then the I'm forgetting the Yankees. Excuse me. I think those are the top 3, and then the Brewers are a slight tier down.
Yeah, they're right there, man.
But in the MLB.com power ranking sponsored by Polymarket, the
Who could forget, dude?
the Brewers are at 3 right now, and I know Judge is hurt for the Yankees, and they're not fully healthy. They're still waiting to get some pitchers back as well on their rotation. But if you can stay attached to Milwaukee, which we talked about the Cubs doing at 7.5 games back, the Cardinals are even better, only 6 games back of the Brewers at this point. All it takes is for them to go on a little bit of a downturn. Cardinals start to heat up a little bit. Because like you said, right now, since June started, they're probably, a little bit over 500, like 550 when it comes to their record for this year, or for that month, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
If you could get a little hot, rip off a win streak, the Brewers dip down a little bit, you can realistically be in play for this division.
Yeah, why not? I mean, they're obviously still about 6 games back. Milwaukee is just, I don't know. They're just on a tear. Like, it's crazy.
Mizorowski's is such a dog.
Yeah, that guy's. It's funny. I saw a video on Twitter the other day of him as a prospect, like when he was 17 or 18, just throwing gas, like 101 miles per hour. And the MLB Network guys are like, what is happening?
You're in algebra class, and you're just like, all right, step up to the plate and just 102 cheese.
Yeah, you're just standing there. It's like the meme of the guy at the batting cage.
Yeah,
where he just
I was just about to say that. Oh, it's such a good video.
Yeah.
Now, while we're on pitching, though, the Cardinals
Great segue.
pitching.
It's super up and down, man.
And right now it's just straight up bad.
Yeah.
So, Dustin May had the amazing outing we talked about last week. Followed that up with not an amazing outing. He made it 2 innings, I think, and gave up a couple runs before he got pulled in the game. I believe it was the Diamondbacks, wasn't it? That was the last one of the Royals, excuse me. So they won, but 2 innings pitched, 6 earned.
Yeah, not ideal.
And then Liberatore, man, and Liberatore had a good, solid start to the season. I go, okay, he's looking better than I even expected him to.
Yep.
In June, in the last 3 outings, or he's had 3 outings in June, 10 and 1/3 innings pitched, 10.45 ERA, 16 hits, 5 homers, 4 walks, and just 10 strikeouts. Gave up 7 runs in less than 2 innings versus the Royals. It's just not been a good June, and really hasn't been a good 30 days for Liberatore and the rest of this rotation. Again, outside of McGreevy, who even he's been slipping a little bit, you don't have anybody that you can lean on right now.
And I think that was one of our concerns definitely for the Cardinals going into the season.
Yes.
Obviously, this is a very young team. We were saying there's not too many veteran presences there, but the young guys have come to play. And I think right now that I would even say less than the Cubs, because the Cubs are in a position where it's like, hey, you have the super talented roster, like, selling out the farm system, maybe going and getting a big arm, that is definitely in play. The Cardinals are just so young where it's like, do you want to give up the farm system now? You're still kind of in that rebuild mode. Like, obviously, they are objectively a good baseball team at this point. I think you're far enough into the season to say, like, if you're still competitive in the middle of June and you're in a playoff spot, you definitely have a chance this season. But how much of the current team do you want to sacrifice to be like, hey, go out? Are we 1 or 2 big arms away from being a contender? Or, you know what I mean? Because it's still like the rest of the rotation is still probably going to hold you down for the rest of the season.
And that's where I would comp them to another Midwest team, but this time in basketball. I think it's like the Detroit Pistons, where they took a massive step forward this season. They were the 1 seed in the East, and everybody was saying, hey, are they going to trade for Larry Markkinen at the deadline from Utah? Are they going to trade for just another shooter or a scorer to help go alongside Cade Cunningham? I think they were even talked about for Trey Murphy down in New Orleans as a guy that could be a good supplementary piece. And they stood pat. They traded for Kevin Huerter randomly from the Bulls, and he didn't really play very much. But I think they were saying, hey, we are way ahead of expectations. Cade took a way bigger leap than we thought he could, and we're in a spot that it's okay if we go and lose in the second round, which is ultimately what they did.
Yeah.
And not sell the future right now. Give it a year, let it breathe, see what the offseason brings, and then going forward, I'm sure they'll trade for a piece here coming soon to really make a push in the East.
I think that's a really good point. And to address the pitching situation going forward, like you said, they could easily make the playoffs this year. If you make it and you get knocked out in the first or second round,
who cares?
I think the Cardinals fans take that. It's like,
100%.
hey, we literally, like, going into the season, the odds were that they were going to be in last place in the NL Central, and that it's just obviously couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
Could not be less of, the case right now.
Could be less of the truth.
Yeah.
The one last thing that I have is, as we're talking about young guys, is there's been a lot of buzz about Joshua Baez. He's the number 3 prospect in their system. Left fielder right now is crushing at AAA Memphis for the Cardinals. And so just, keep your eye out. I could see him getting pulled up in the next week, month, just pretty soon to be another young piece for this team.
Yeah, that would be huge. And I mean, we've seen it with the White Sox, who we'll get to. They've had, I think, 13 players make their MLB debuts, which is huge.
Yeah.
And, it's funny enough, the Sox have all these good young players, but I think Weatherholt, outside of Murakami, who's been out for well over a month right now, I mean, he might be the best rookie in baseball.
I think he is, man.
Like not even NL.
Just period. Because you factor in the defense, I think that's big. Because he's a really good defender right now at second base and shortstop, alternating between both of those spots. He can play both, and so I think that adds to his value. And the bat has been on fire again. He's seeing a little more power, and I think that'll just come with time, right? He's a really young kid. Like I said earlier, you get him in the weight room, you get him some more power, and I think that can be a part of his game going forward.
100%. So, yep, in the midst of that Diamondback series right now, next game 3 of 4 in the Diamondback series at 6:45 tonight. So look forward to that. Another young team we will segue to after this break. The White Sox continue to a little up and down this week, but they're bringing it around when it matters most, facing a divisional opponent, and they're just getting it done. So right after this break, we will dive back into some Chicago baseball. To Midwest Mashup, talk some NL teams, NL Central teams. Now flipping it to the AL Central. So we went from Chicago to St. Louis, back in Chicago, this time on the south side. White Sox, 41-37, currently in first place with a 1-game lead over Cleveland. Kind of had a tough road trip there, didn't do too hot, but brought it back home, and it seems like they're kind of right back on track right now.
Yeah, a little rougher when you lose that Yankees series 2-1, swept by the Tigers, who are not a great baseball team right now, and so that's very disappointing. But then this is the big series. You're going against the Guardians. This is who you are fighting with in the division. You started off with a win. That is what you wanted to see coming off of 2 very disappointing series.
100%. And, dude, Davis Martin got shelled against the Yankees.
Oof.
Very, very bad outing. I think his ERA went from 2 to 3.5 or 3.8 after that
Well, that's
one.
what happens when you give up 9 earned in 3 innings.
Yeah, not ideal. Only had 4 strikeouts there, 3 walks. The command was all over the place. He had a decent outing against the Tigers, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned, 5 hits, 4 Ks, but yeah, not what you want to see, and especially a Yankees team that has, been down Aaron Judge at this point, but still a very, very talented team. It's just what makes me feel good about this team is, you go on this road trip, you play the Yankees, who you lose to, which is fine, but then you get swept by Detroit, and, in hindsight, it's like that's a divisional opponent. That should not happen, but they come back home, and they don't really get discouraged. They've won the first 2 games against Cleveland. You couldn't ask for a better start to this series.
No, and I mean, going for the sweep, that would be huge when it comes to getting another game up in the divisional series right now, or the divisional race, right now. They're up 1 game on the Guardians, and this team has been able to bounce back. There's been a couple times where we've said, hey, are they waning? Maybe is this where they actually take the dive, and it's going to be more the White Sox we thought. Even individually with Davis Martin, we hit on this last week, but had a really bad outing, came back and pitched a really good one against Chris Sale in that Braves game.
Yes, that was
and
huge.
A lot of the same here, where I would say that the Yankees game was the worst outing he's had all year. I don't really think it's particularly close.
It's not, yeah.
And then he comes back and only lets up 1 run in 6 innings, is back to what he does best, and is back to what he's been doing for most of this season. That's an encouraging sign. I think this team is really mentally tough.
I think so too. And, we see that, speaking of mentally tough, I mean, Sam Antonacci.
Dude.
That guy is just a stud. I mean, he is awesome. Here's some of the pictures from the walk-off from the other day.
Central Illinois native. By the way.
Yeah, shout out SHG, one of the teams that, our sports department covers. Shout out Glenn, Courtney, and Tristan. But this was a weird game, man, because honestly, there was so many challenges going on, and he hit the walk-off, and then, celebrate for a second. They're like, oh, we're going to challenge the play at the plate. He was clearly safe, but 2 for 4 in this game. He's just a gritty dude, and had an awesome quote in the post-game interview. He said, baseball is a team sport. If you're mad about giving up 2 runs in the 9th, take you fill in the blank to go play tennis. This is a baseball guy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just
talk about leadership. Right?
Yeah.
You talk about setting the tone for the locker room, especially as a guy who wasn't even on the MLB roster to start.
No, I know, it's crazy.
Gets called up. I mean, has been just a revelation in terms of the way he puts the bat on the ball. He's able to get balls in play. Really good base runner, really good defender. Like, this is an athletic guy out playing defense. He's been a revelation, I'll keep saying, and it's fun to see coming off the World Baseball Classic, because there's takes that come out of that, and it happens really in every sport. I've heard it even more in basketball, right? Oh, a guy has a good Olympics. Is that he's going to carry that over? Or he gets confidence going into the NBA season. And a lot of times, frankly, it's just a talking point, right? It doesn't actually come to fruition. And it has for Antonacci. He's quickly becoming one of the better players, and I would say a fan favorite for this White Sox team.
Definitely a fan favorite. He's such like an old school guy where it's just like he looks like a madman out there.
Yes.
He's running the bases like crazy, not really a care in the world. Him and Tristan Peters, though, are currently leading. I think they're top 2 in batting average for rookies this year, which is awesome. One thing I do want to touch on before we move on from the MLB is Sir Anthony Dominguez has really been struggling lately.
Yes.
I think there needs to be a conversation about who the closer is going to be going forward. He has really struggled in save situations this year. He's got over a 6 ERA in 18 appearances, and frankly, he's blown like many saves lately, and it's kind of brutal to see.
Yeah, and this is a guy that you thought coming into the year you'd be able to rely on. He's got good stuff, man. Like good solid velocity, some solid movement. Your stereotypical coming in and shoving with throwing pretty hard.
Yep.
And it's just not come to fruition. And if he's going to be your closer going forward, either something has to change, or it's, hey, we need to bring another guy in, bring a guy up out of the minors and figure something out to fill that spot. Because what he's doing right now for a team that does, again, surprisingly have playoff aspirations, you got to have a go-to guy in the 8th, in the 9th to get stuff done. At this point, that's not him.
Yeah, and honestly, Grant Taylor has been so much better in clutch situations. I think that might be a move that we see going forward. But, I digress. There's always things to nitpick. Yeah. Sox are in a good spot right now, in first by a game. Continue that Cleveland series. Right now, actually, the game is starting on this minute at 1:10. So,
there we go.
In the series finale, already clinched the series there. So that's good. Baseball teams are in good spots right now, I would say. Transitioning to something that we haven't talked about, I feel like, in quite some time.
It's been weeks, probably months, actually, since we talked hockey.
NHL. So the draft is coming up, and, with that, we're like, hey, the Blues have some picks. They have more picks now, and the Hawks have the 4th pick.
Wow, that's going to be so exciting. I'm so glad for the... Oh, wait.
No, they just traded it. And
for a mid-defenseman.
Yeah, one of the more questionable, I'd say, NHL trades in recent time.
I pulled up Twitter, because a routine is I'll pull up X, I guess is what it's called, before we start the episode, just to quick scroll, hey, did we miss anything? Was there a signing? That's how we got the Ben Brown news as well with the next train, is just, hey, one last check to see if we missed anything. And Zach Hicks, who shout out him, he's a great follow for Colts stuff. He's awesome. But unprompted, he saw this trade and he goes, this is one of the worst trades I've seen in sports. I don't know why they did this, lol. And it just doesn't make a ton of sense. So the trade, Bowen Byram, defenseman from Buffalo, was their 3rd defenseman, more of an offensive guy, skilled type of defenseman. 42 points in the 82 games, plus 15 for the on-off split, so a positive type of player. He's 25 years old. And then Jordan Greenway, who is, I would just say kindly, a non-factor really in this trade.
He's not a factor.
He factors in more of a salary dump, it looks like, at this point, unless something really changes. And then Buffalo gets a bunch of stuff, but the 4th overall pick is the biggest in this. And when I saw this, I had to double take, and I didn't think it was real. I thought this was a fake Shams type thing, but I am struggling to understand why they made this trade.
And, ESPN gave a good... I know, shout out Joe Namath. Shout out Broadway Joe.
I'm struggling with this trade.
I am struggling to understand what... I don't know what the thought process is here, because you're giving up the 4th overall pick in this upcoming draft.
A premium pick,
to probably take someone that's 18, 19 years old. You are taking the 4th overall pick in the 2019 draft. I'm 25. That's when I graduated high school. Yep. So this guy's like right around my age. I get that you want an offensive defenseman. Like he's coming into Chicago, and he's clearly already the best defenseman that they have. Because
that's a weak spot for the Blackhawks.
But 100%. Because you're giving up Luis Crevier, who was the best defenseman last year. So it's like it's an upgrade at that position. Don't get me wrong. But
how much is it worth the 4th pick?
Yeah,
type upgrade?
I don't think so.
No.
It's not. It's not worth it. Kyle Davidson, what are you doing? I don't understand. It's just not good. Yeah.
It's so funny because when we talked at the end of the season, we were joking about them having to take like fighting lessons and whatever, but we did say
wild.
Really what they do need is a big physical presence on defense. You get a defenseman, that's not Byram's game. That's not what he's about.
No,
as you said before,
he's more finesse.
He's finesse. He's offensive.
Yep.
He's a guy that's going to get you some points and rocket some shots from the blue line, which, don't get me wrong, is valuable.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's what the Blackhawks needed even at that position. And so from the position of what you gave up, the timeline and the rebuild you're on, and then the type of players that I think you need, all three of those are missed for me in this trade.
Yeah, 100%. ESPN, I got a notification like an hour after this trade happened. Chicago is the loser in this trade. But how did Buffalo fare? They fared well.
Good.
Yeah,
correct.
they fared very well. But for the Blues, enough negative. They made a trade.
The Blues are cooking, man.
Dude, they got rid of Jordan Kyrou, who he was good this year, but had his worst statistical season in 5 years. So
Since COVID, yeah.
So, obviously he was a factor, but you get a 25-year-old center, and you get the 16th pick. The Blues now have 4 first-round picks.
And I think this puts them in an interesting spot where I could definitely see them wanting to package 2 of those mid-range picks. Like I think they have 16 and 14 are options they have. And so are you saying, hey, can we package 16 and 14 and get to 8 or 7 or, to take a little bit more of a premium player?
Yeah.
Or are you taking this and now you can take 14 and 16 and get more of a proven veteran? I think you can do a lot of different things here and you're flexible now as the Blues, and you get off a guy in Kyrou who I think you said it best, is a good player, but his best days are probably behind him.
Yeah,
is how I'd put that.
And he's not a super old guy, but like you said, sometimes players just hit their primes early and then they're not really the same player after that. I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Kyrou. I think the Blues are also in an interesting spot because we saw them how hot they got the last month of the season. So it's like, hey, this is could be a sign of things to come. Like you said, you have those first round picks, so it's like, hey, do we want to go like rebuild right now, or do we want to, flip some of these assets for a current good player, maybe try and go a little bit more win now mode? I think they have options, which honestly is good. It's always good to have options.
Yeah, and I could definitely see them saying, hey, you know what? Like, we started off bad, but by the time we got to the end of the season, we were the hottest team in hockey.
Literally.
I think maybe we're not that level, right? But we're a good team, and if we get some veterans here, we can 100% make the playoffs. And when you get in the playoffs in the NHL, anybody can make a run, right? It's one of the most volatile postseasons, probably the most volatile postseason in all of the big 4 professional sports leagues here in America. So I could definitely see them selling themselves on that as well.
No doubt. And they're in a great spot. NHL draft is taking place this Friday and Saturday, June 26th and 27th. So that's coming up. We'll talk about that next week. Seems like these two teams are going in different directions.
Well, we'd love to talk about the 4th pick for the Chicago Blackhawks, but I guess not.
But we do have the 4th pick for the Chicago Bulls. Boom segue. We're not going to talk about the Pacers because they unfortunately got the short end of the stick in this draft. But a lot of excitement for the Chicago Bulls, and that starts with the head coach. We're going to talk about that coming up after the break. Welcome back to Midwest Mashup. Had a funny moment here before coming back
Chauncey
from break.
Billups has been arrested for a gambling scandal. For those of you who don't know, I know that doesn't fall into our Midwest Mashup teams. But the former Pistons guard, who was the coach of the Blazers, was indicted on gambling charges federally. And so he might be going to federal prison. How does that relate to what we're talking about? Well, because the guy who took over, Tiago Splitter,
shout out,
new head coach of your Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, we're also talking about how he just absolutely got dunked on by LeBron in the 2013 finals.
It's not a good look, but I think
zone. He did win the next year.
He won the next year, and so he can give a lot of advice. Hey, you can go through tough times as a team because the Bulls are probably going to do a decent amount of losing coming forward.
Yeah, for sure.
But we can bounce back. You overcome adversity. Here's me getting posterized by LeBron, but I still got a ring the next year. And you keep going with life, right? You can't let one thing get in the way.
You make a good point, Tyler. I think that's the positive outlook on that.
Blocked by James.
Oh, gosh, dude, those teams. Just to segue really quick, those teams were so fun to watch.
Those
series
good,
were nuts.
Man.
That was peak basketball.
Because there are people that say, I really didn't like watching Cavs Warriors a bunch of years in a row.
I will say, to cut you off, when I was being a Bulls fan, I was like, I do not like LeBron, objectively.
Correct.
I don't like the Heat. But in retrospect, those teams were so sick.
It was so sick, and you had the back-to-back Heat Spurs that we're talking about. That was great. I just don't mind seeing the same teams in the finals year after year. Because same thing with Cavs, Warriors, right? If these are the two best, most entertaining teams, I think it stacks storylines, right? You get,
year
3
after
years
year,
deep, and there's so much pent up layers of what's happening, and I really enjoy it. So I never minded those finals at all.
Yeah, and then obviously Thiago was on those teams, the Spurs teams at least. But let's talk about Thiago now. Guy is 41 years old. Obviously, he led Portland to a surprise 7 seed last year. Dude, look at how dialed he is. I mean, that guy is just so locked in.
Here's the deal, and Billy could never, right? And I respect Billy, but Billy was so locked out when it got to the season.
Yeah, he was definitely mentally checked out. But like we said, it's impressive given the Chauncey Billups situation last year. Was thrown into a tough situation, made the best out of a bad situation. But it seems like the Bulls front office, they went through a ton of. I think it was like the first round of candidates. There was about 15 of them, and then they narrowed it down to 4 guys. Thiago is the guy that really fit the mold there. They're really impressed with his ability to develop young players, really won over the locker room in Portland. He's a younger coach, and this has kind of just been the trend across sports. It seems like head coaches keep getting younger. You look at Ben Johnson, he was 39. Thiago's only 41. So I think it's good to have a younger guy who played in the league. So he was in their shoes not that long ago. And I think that really can relate to some of the younger players, especially on this Bulls roster.
Yeah, and typically you wouldn't get a guy at head coach that has legit head coaching experience like he does.
It's true.
But that is still ascending. Like, this is not you bringing in Doc Rivers after his 5th stop and he wasn't successful in Milwaukee. That kind of head coaching experience. It's still a guy who's ascending and figuring out some stuff, but doing it at a really fast rate. And you get him in your building. I don't know why Portland didn't re-sign him. That kind of an interesting thing. I guess their owner's really cheap is the word around town, and so they didn't want to rehire him. I guess he's going to be too expensive, but it's good for Chicago because this is my top candidate with the experience. I like the type of offense that he runs, how he relates to players, and so I think this is a really good pickup for the Bulls.
It's funny though because Jerry Reinsdorf has been kind of the same gripes on him for being cheap.
Is Jerry no longer the cheapest owner in the league?
Maybe not, dude. Sox got Murakami. Bulls just traded for Nick Claxton, probably signing him to a Supermax. Not actually. But I do like that, given the last year Portland had a top 10 defense when Thiago Splitter took over. Led the NBA in second chance points per game. I think now that you have some size with guys like Nick Claxton, obviously, Bulls and their first draft pick. Yeah. So the 6'9" center, probably the shortest center to start a game in the 2020s, 2010s. Unbelievable. But
we'll look back on that when the Bulls are good and be like, do you remember the Gershon Yabusele times?
Yeah, when we're both 55 years old.
What's
when
crazy,
the Bulls
though?
are good.
And I guess you can't really do this because if they kept Io and Kobe White, they probably would have won more games and maybe not gotten the 4th pick.
Right.
But can you imagine this roster, as we segue into the draft a little bit, this roster with these 2 draft picks that we have so far, plus Io, plus Kobe White. But I guess we haven't seen who the second rounders are, so I don't know if we can really definitively make that statement.
Oh my gosh, dude. They're like, what if we just build a team around our second round picks?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Last thing though in Splitter, at least for me, just in terms of how he likes to coach, he's a very, I think you could call it European style of offense where a lot of movement, they're getting up and down the floor, playing with a lot of pace. It'll be a fun style of basketball, not just, hey, ball screen up top and we're playing off that. Like somebody set Giddey a screen and we'll figure out from there. I think that's very good and matches a lot of what Giddey wants to do running the floor. Matas, what he's best at. And then, again, segueing in the draft here, it's what Caleb Wilson is good at, the 4th pick that they took out of UNC. I think that this fits, and you don't hire a coach just for the guy that you're taking or just for the guys on the roster at this point in the rebuild if you're the Bulls. But it's nice that it meshes.
No, 100%. It's good that it meshes I can't speak. Meshes, dude. Meshes. Hold on. I'm having my coffee now. We're just waking up for the day.
We're lighting up, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it is good that it meshes. But Caleb, obviously at UNC, this is a guy that's 6'10", 215. I think this is what the Bulls need. I mean, I don't really see, what else they could have done here.
Also, great suit, because here's the deal. Some tough suits last night.
In a bad way, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Like, I like nice, simple, boom, tailored, perfect.
Yeah, let's not make the outfit the talking point. Let's make the player the talking point.
No, like Cam Boozer was in the full white suit.
Yeah, that
I
was
like,
brutal.
what's going on with that?
Shout out Keaton. I think he looked pretty good, though.
He had a good one, although his tie was tied kind of weird. I was like, oh, we gotta fix that, man. A little sloppy. But
It's true.
so far, I think you can tell a lot by what kind of suit a guy wears. And so I'm bought in on Caleb Wilson.
Yeah, I think so too. That's a good point. I do like what he said though. Like he seemed very confident in the interviews after. Just saying like he wants to be the best ever, pretty much. Honestly, he's been posting on social media saying like this is where I always wanted to be. Yeah. And I think for weeks it's kind of been like there's a 95% chance that he's going to end up in Chicago. But it seems like this is a place where he wants to be.
100%. So we can get into the player. He'll wear number 8 for the Bulls. That was announced as long as nothing changes before the season.
Yep.
Guy with a lot of energy. He's explosive, crazy athlete.
We could show some of his stuff.
Pull it up because it's
UNC.
a lot of very impressive plays. Just dunking everywhere. He was a way better athlete than pretty much anybody he played. Nice little mid-range game. I think he's got some more touch than people would give him credit for in the mid-range. That three-point shot's still developing. But I think it's good that you see, hey, the free throws aren't horrible. He's got some mid-range touch. It gives you confidence that he can figure out the shot. And there was even, in the middle of the season, there was some different posts. He was working with a shooting coach, and it got better in the middle of the season. It used to be like, when he started for North Carolina, it was, hey, he's not shooting jump shots pretty much at all. It's mid-range. It's no threes. And he's worked to where he at least has a usable three-point shot. So that's the biggest development because pretty much everything else is there in terms of the athleticism, the hard work, the buy-in, running the floor.
And he's young. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
100%. And so if he can fix the shot and make that really usable and then work on the ball handling a little bit, he's a good passer as well. Like, this is a really good player to build around.
No, yeah, and I think, we talked about it in the past. There was kind of that top 3. It was always Darren. It was always AJ. Yes. It was always Cam. Caleb was, he's right there, though.
He's a really good player still.
He's right there in that next year. Obviously, he had the hand injury, so he didn't get to finish out the season at UNC. But like we said, just a young guy, three-pointer or a three-point shot is going to be something that can develop. I mean, if it takes a few years, that's fine. The Bulls are not in a place where it's like, we need this guy to be firing on all cylinders right now. They are in full rebuild mode. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. And, this is going to be a guy that, barring something crazy happening, you're going to be building around him for the future.
100%. I think this is a guy that has multiple all-star level potential. Maybe not quite all NBA level, but think you can be a really good player.
We'll see. Stranger things have happened.
Exactly.
I think that's a good ceiling kind of just to put him at.
And listen, if you're making 5 all-star teams in your career, you're a really good player. And so that if that's what he turns out to be with the 4th pick, like, wash out that Patrick Williams 4th pick from mouthwash it for the Bulls fans.
Jeez, dude.
I think he will be a good player. I don't see a lot of ways where he fails. Like, maybe he doesn't become a star because of some of the things we're talking about where he can't become a top-tier offensive guy. I just don't see how he becomes a horrible player, though. I think he'll always be a good starter.
I don't either. And I think this pick was pretty chalk, but this is the pick that needed to be made for the Bulls. Obviously, I think all the fans are happy about that. After the break, we'll talk about the 2nd pick. I'd seen some mixed reactions. Could have possibly been a reach, which is pretty on par with Bulls in their drafting history. But let's be optimistic. We'll get to it right after this break. To Midwest Mashup. In the last segment of the show here, thank you guys for sticking with us as always. We're in the thick of talking about the NBA draft. Obviously, it's not over. We still have the 2nd round today.
Which the Bulls,
the Bulls live for the 2nd round.
Can do a lot.
They're like Caleb Wilson, Dalen Swain, who we'll talk about now. We're good. Give me Kylan Boswell. That's who we want to see.
They're in range, honestly. Because
Kylan's
what? I've seen him, in the 50s, basically. And the Bulls are picking at 56, so maybe. I also realized we should have talked about this because I think it really sets the stage for why they took who they did. The Bulls, a new VP of basketball operations, Bryson Graham, he is focused on what he calls SLAP.
Let's hear it.
Which is size, length, athleticism, and physicality. That is Caleb Wilson to a T.
Yep.
That's also, as we move on to Dalen Swain, guard out of Texas, that's him to a T as well. He's listed at 6'8", 220 for a guard.
Yeah, that's massive.
Really good handle.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's kind of giddy-ish. I would say probably he's a more athletic Giddey.
Yeah.
Because he's quicker. I would say he's got more verticality as well, but really good ball handler for his size. I think they have the same weaknesses as well when it comes to shooting. Swain going to be a little bit better of a defender.
Yep.
I wonder if this might even be a little bit of insurance if they do end up trading Josh Giddey. But
that's a good point.
That's the future.
Yep.
For now, these are the type of guys that the Bulls are going to go for. Guys that are huge, long wingspans, jumping out the gym, and are really hard workers and hard players. That's Dalen Swain, that's Caleb Wilson, and then I'm sure that's going to be part of what they take in the second round as well.
It's funny because this slap metric really reminds me of kind of like how the Bears went about this last draft, where it's like, let's just get the most athletic guy, even though they came out and said that's not what they were doing.
Like, all right, sure, buddy.
That's definitely, they're like, we got this defensive tackle in the 6th round who's like the most athletically gifted person we've ever seen. Sure, buddy. But yeah, I do think this is an important metric, especially on a team that I feel like physically last year just struggled so much. Whether that be height or reach or having a 6'9" center out there starting multiple games, that's just insane. But defensively, I mean, the team was abysmal, and I think Dalen Swain is just going to provide, an aspect to the team this year that was really missing, especially, I mean, I'd say at the guard position.
Yeah, both of those guys will, man, because a lot of the...
How do we feel about the suit?
I like it.
I do
it
too.
Also, I think it really blends in with Texas, right? It's almost that burnt orange adjacent kind of thing. Maybe burnt orange mixed with the Bulls red. I guess he knew he was going to the Bulls.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Well fit, well planned out. Again, another one where I like... You're straying on the color a little bit. True. It's the classic fit. You're not doing any crazy patterns or anything like that. And so I'll give him... I would say I'd give him an 8 out of 10 for that suit.
I think so,
what
too.
Do you think?
I think that's fair. I think Caleb's probably at like a 9, 9.5.
Right.
Just super
real
clean.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And, I think right now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just as we're looking at the future, the starting 5, as of today, I think it's probably Giddey at the 1. I think it's Swain at the 2.
Yeah, because... I mean, I'd say he has the talent to start. Probably.
Yeah, and like I get you still have Anthony Simons, but I mean,
he was just kind of like hawking up shots.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Just chucking last year.
So and then you got Matas at 3, Caleb Wilson at the 4, and then I'm thinking probably Nick Claxton at the 5.
Which I'd be okay with.
Yeah, and I think it's a good developmental year for all those guys. Play fast, have a fun team. I think this will be a fun team to watch, even if they're not ripping off 10-game win streaks.
It's probably going to be like a frisky, fun, like 30-win team. That's kind of right where they're going to be around, which is honestly probably right outside of the play-in, which please just don't get into the play-in. That is not where you want to be, even though the Bulls lived there for like 5 years.
Yeah, and you do now with the new lottery odds. I don't remember if we talked about this on the show or not, but where the bottom 3 teams only get 2 ping pong balls, and then those middle teams in the lottery get 3. That's where you want to be. Like, you don't want to be a 15-win team anymore. You do want to be in that 28 to 35 range to get a better chance at one of these higher picks.
And so that's going into effect next season, correct?
Yes.
It's funny because the Bulls were kind of like in that territory this year, and I really just lucked out by getting the 4th pick, and a team like the Pacers, who were just abysmal, just don't even have a pick in this draft. It's just crazy.
Don't make me sad again.
Yeah, it's crazy. You made a good point in here. Obviously it's going to be a fun, high-flying team, just with some super athletic guys, but the shooting, it might be a little tough.
It's bad.
It is bad.
Like, Matas is the best shooter on this team, or on the starting 5 that I gave. I guess if you keep Simons, he would be the best shooter as well. Like, they would be in the running there.
He's probably going to be a rotational guy next year. You know what I mean?
And so, as I'm looking at this team, I get that you want to be bought in, again, to that size, length, athleticism, physicality. I get it. But at some point, you have to have shooters. And
especially
right now,
in today's league.
In today's league, right now, Swain, that's his weakness. It's Caleb Wilson's weakness. Matas is a decent catch and shoot guy, but he's not exactly like pulling guys out of the paint a ton like Klay Thompson or anything like that. Giddey struggles with shooting. Claxton it's not really his game either. And so this is just one draft in. It's by no means a big deal breaker for this, new front office.
No.
I would just monitor with the rest of this offseason going into any trades they make, any signings in the next year's draft and down the line. At some point, you're going to have to get some shooting. You're going to have to get some skill to go alongside with just these freak athletes. Or maybe you're just trusting your development track and saying, hey, we will give these guys better shooting, better ball handling, things like that.
I think so, too. And, a guy like Matas, who's still very young, still early on in his career, he can develop a better shot, Giddy, I mean, I think at this point, this is probably where he's going to be at.
Yeah,
he's
and
still young, but it's like,
and he's
you know
developed
what I
into
mean.
a fine shooter. Like,
Yeah.
it's not bad, but again, it's not a guy where coaches are saying, hey, you got to be out on him
Right.
because of his shot. So, you got some okay shooters, but not great.
Yeah, and for Caleb and Swain, they're coming into their rookie years. Swain's 20, Caleb's 18 or 19. So it's just like, this is a year where, like you mentioned, it's going to be how they develop with this team, how they develop with the new coaching.
The Caleb W. Chicago Pipeline.
Yeah, the Caleb W. Chicago Pipeline. Correct. Yeah, that's exactly where you want to be. It's just good. I think also, like, comparing it to like when Caleb Williams was drafted for the Bears.
We were gonna make that.
Yeah, we definitely are. I honestly, every time I think of it, I get the two confused. But he was drafted, and you still have Matt Eberflus there. He was the number 1 overall pick. There was kind of that weird first year where it really felt like Caleb was a rookie last year. I like that, you have a premium pick with Caleb Wilson at 4 coming in with the new coaching staff. I think getting them started at the same time is really important to development. Tiago's a younger coach who, he's really been praised for the way that he is able to develop young talent.
Yep.
Him and Nick Claxton, too, there's a connection there. He was an assistant in Brooklyn for 4 years, and so they knew each other there. He's a player that developed, with Tiago Splitter in Brooklyn. So they definitely, I would say Tiago would see something that some of these other teams that maybe were interested in Nick Claxton didn't see. But just starting all these guys on the same page, I think is really important to the success going forward.
Yeah, you're aligned, right, between the front office to the coach to now your 4th overall pick and 15th overall pick.
Yeah.
And so you got to love that. It's one message. They're not getting, tossed and turned through a coach saying something different than the front office, who's saying something different than ownership, who's saying something different than the assistant coach, right? It's all streamlined. I think it'll be good for all of their development.
I think so too. And it's not going to be pretty. I'm just not going to sugarcoat it. It's not going to be pretty this first year.
Could be fun though.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's going to be one of those teams where it's going to be like, hey, Caleb's developing into a really good player. Swain may turn some heads. Obviously, he's just I can't believe he's 6'8" at a guard. It's unbelievable. It's huge. But yeah, it could be a fun team that gets you some probably wins that you shouldn't get. They're going to be competitive in some of these games, but this is all about development. I don't think we'll see like a St. Louis Cardinals thing where it's like, hey, this team's going to be balling out halfway through
Probably
the season.
not, yeah.
No, but it's going to be interesting to see. And the Bulls do they have 2 picks today in the second round?
They
is that
do.
correct?
It's 30. Let me check. I think it's 38 and then 56.
Okay.
Yeah, 38 and 56.
The Bulls love the second round. They really do.
Big second round.
Huge
people.
second round team. We'll see what happens. I don't know exactly where they're going to go going forward. Hopefully, maybe they get a shooter. That's definitely what they need.
And that's what I was looking at. So Isaiah Evans off Duke, he fell a little bit, really good shooter. Richie Saunders, who is the guard for BYU, tore his ACL. He's a really good shooter that you could take there.
Yep.
That's probably, you got Jaden Bradley from Arizona, I think could be intriguing as well, but it's not a great second round because a lot of the really good second round players went back to school for NIL.
Right.
So,
that's true. That's a
you're
good
probably
point.
not counting on a lot of these guys getting a ton of
No,
minutes.
maybe we'll find a diamond in the rough. Maybe we'll find our Jokic during a Taco Bell commercial. But we'll see what happens. Tyler, thanks again. I mean, we covered a lot, as always.
So much.
I'm a broken record. I think we say this every week. But thank you guys for tuning in. Next week we'll talk about NHL draft. Obviously, there's going to be more to dive into from the NBA draft. But thank you guys, as always, for watching.